for the next generation, right? Aren't we always then subject to passing on, ultimately, if I can, for lack of a better word, the template that we got, right? And we will tweak here and there based on our own lived experiences and stuff. But I guess we'll make allowance for the fact that, fine, the world that Uluhle is growing up in is a different world than yours, but certain principles will remain the same as far as you're concerned in terms of what your lived experience is. Which is why I was asking the question about this whole thing of, does it serve a greater good if you then switch off what you were raised in and then switch on in different contexts and all of that kind of stuff? Because that's, in my mind, part of where all these biases and stuff come from.
Utulba is trying to get me into a corner, and I'm gonna put him back into it. I repeat, I chose to raise Riley, my son, to be a person.
Right.
Tulba says no. There is a boy, there is a girl. That's how they are born. He's got a responsibility to help Uluhle be the boy. Tulba, apply that same thought to raising your daughter to be what society wants a female to be. No, hear me out. That's why I'm saying, when I've got a son and a daughter, there is school. That's what they must know. Yeah. There is school. There is dating. This is what dating is about. There is whatever stages of life. Tulba now must teach Uluhle that, you know what, Luhle, amakhwenkwe akakhali when you fall. That's the template we know. I'm not saying Tulba, that's what you're doing. That's a typical template.
Yeah.
Now, Luhle, a man provides, and I think even the religious scripture, some of them, I'm not close to it, might provide for such. A man is a provider. Little girl, my daughter, a woman must be subservient to a man. Teach your daughter that, because you are saying we must gender raise people based on those templates. So I'm saying that's why I would rather take the middle ground to say dating is this. As to who you date and so on, it doesn't matter. Dating as a principle is this. Going to school, is this. Yes, of course, you won't wear a tunic because the governing body says only females can wear a tunic. That's the governing body. Therefore, I must help Uluhle understand why he can wear a tunic.
So my question would then be, given the fact that, and we use the term loosely, but I think it describes it, the template that you were brought up in. So in your choice then to sort of go with the viewpoint that you have in terms of your son, what is that then to you consciously saying about the template you believe you were brought up in, coming back to our initial statement about I'm a Xhosa man? Because what you're also saying then, in essence, is your son then, the concept of ukuba yinkwenkwe doesn't apply, right? You mentioned the stages, right, that are recognized within the Xhosa template, right? So are you then explicitly saying that you don't view those stages as necessary, or they're no longer relevant, or how does that then fit in?
I think because it's directed to me, let me rather answer to it. No, in the Eastern Cape, raising Riley in the Eastern Cape, and we are there, I will definitely adopt the Eastern Cape context because that's where we are. That's what he needs to succeed in that context. We are outside of it. Hence, I make the different choice.
Okay, look, I strongly believe ukuba, okay, this thing is very broad. This thing is broad, extremely actually. The first one is, let's talk about mna nawe, Yanela. Okay? Sikhuliswe ngomama. Omama bethu basikhulisile to be amadoda that we are today. The amadoda that we are today, if you go to Eastern Cape, we don't 100% fit in that puzzle. Okay? But bona they basikhulise in such a way that sikwazi ukufita in the world that we live in today. Okay? I move away from that space. Then I've got a wife from Joburg now. Okay? Now, yena she understands indoda differently to how I do. Okay? Then we've got a son, this 9-year-old boy. Siyamkhulisa sobabini as umama, she's got a role to play ekhuliseni her own son. Same like me. Okay? This boy that grew up from Eastern Cape. But I'm not grooming up my boy to be a man in Eastern Cape. I'm grooming him to be a man in society in general. Now, for me, I believe ukuba what I do today to him and for him, it should be preparing him for his life as a cooler. Okay? Now, forgetting about my life, forgetting about what I've been, I'm not one of those ozoti jonga wedin. In order to be a man, you've got to do A, B, C, and D. No. It's all about firstly understanding the revolution, or rather evolution of life. I think that's the word.
So answer me this here. As you raise, no, I'm sure, I hope you can hear me.
Yeah.
As you raise your son to be a man, what does that mean? Yeah. No. I think that's important. I think it's important.
The beauty of it, Buddha, is I have experienced a man in Eastern Cape. I have experienced a man that got married to this woman from Joburg. I also experienced a man in the workplace. Then I'm being granted an opportunity to raise a man going forward. Now, this 9-year-old boy of mine. Okay. Now, it can only, and sadly, that's how life is, because we don't have a manual to live this life. It can only be based on my experiences. And sadly, for him as well, he's going to learn from utata wakhe.
Yes.
And that's how we grow.
Yeah.
He's going to look at my responsibility is to make sure ukuba I don't impose. I don't say to him, "Mna ndakhuliswa kanje." I let him grow and be the man that he feels comfortable to be. Not ndithi, if you want, you can go left or right. Okay? But I am saying a man, a woman. I'm not that good on the women's side. Mama will play that role.
Yeah.
But I know for a fact, Tukuba, I know what a man is based on the historical knowledge that I have. Going forward, I can only try and alter a bit and allow him and be flexible enough for him to have his altered manhood. Going forward, still living between the boundaries of there's a man, there's a woman. There's a reason why we've got these two sexes when we are born.
So, in your view, yeah, O'Reilly, you mentioned by, he's, you're letting him just grow up to be a person and stuff, right? So, when you think of how we started the conversation, the statement of "I am a Xhosa man," do you then believe that it's a statement that you are not that hung up on whether it resonates with him or not, right? Because that's part of what I'm getting, right? Because it sounds like even this, when we spoke earlier about the rite of passage, right? That's a context that's true for the Eastern Cape, which is necessarily not true for him. So that statement of "I'm a Xhosa man," it's not one that you expect to have as much weight for him, and it's not one that you place on the fact that it's your responsibility or your duty to then have him say that proudly, right? If you think of typically what that statement carries, what you think of all the different process that you go through as a Xhosa man to be able to say that.
Okay, so that's quite a different question, and actually, it's a good one. It's a different one. Based on what I know about being a Xhosa man, do I want it for my son? Yes.
Okay.
I would want it for him. I would want him to be aware of what it is, and if he chooses it,
Then
he chooses it. If he doesn't, he doesn't. I do not undermine for a second what it means to be a Xhosa Eastern Cape man. Do not undermine any elements of it in the context of Eastern Cape Xhosa. Okay, it's got weaknesses like anything in life. It's got its strengths, and my duty will be to say to him, this is what it is. I think when I was speaking earlier on, in the context of where he is born, being raised, the same way when I was being born and raised, had someone back in 1995 given me an option to choose between pursuing the Xhosa man or pursuing the global society, I don't know what choice I would have made.
Sure.
Okay, yeah.
And then for you to learn, would that be the same for Uluhle insofar as the last statement of him saying, I'm a Xhosa man? What are your views on that? Is that something that you personally look forward to him saying? You want him to have some sense of pride about it and the rite of passage that comes with it?
Look, from I like the fact that we started this thing from being specific, like lived experience. For me, growing up in Eastern Cape and being where I am today, maybe somebody else might help me understand how that put me where I am today. I know for a fact, Tukuba, I've got a lot of struggles as a man in the environment that I'm in right now versus where I'm coming from. Now I've got an opportunity to prepare this boy. Okay? Ukhulela apa in Joburg from Cape Town, right? I know where he is going, which is where I am today, right? He is going there and even beyond. This that I'm coming with from Eastern Cape, none of it helped me to cope with the challenges of being a man in this setup that I'm in now.
Yeah.
This one now who is growing up today, it's important for me as utata wakhe to acknowledge ukuba, dude, that you got from Eastern Cape, where you are today, and knowing the challenges that this one is gonna face as he's going there, I need to help him. But I won't write off any of what I'm coming from, but I will prepare him for what he's going towards. That's my view. Okay? Distinguishing between him being a man, I'm still holding that view, and my view is very strong on that one. He was born as a boy. Okay? My understanding of life is he's growing up to be a man. But I'm not the one to define manhood for him. Because remember, manhood for me was initially defined for me in Eastern Cape, right?
Sure.
I see something else here in the city in Joburg. I'm in Joburg with him as a boy. He will be a man in Joburg. I have only the only thing that I have is just ukumvulela the gates. Be open-minded as utata wakhe to allow him to be the man that he believes he can be and that he should be in this context in Joburg.
Okay. So I think
Disclaimer,
yeah.
I'm not writing off anything.
Yeah.
But no. I mean, I think you've articulated.
We're going forward. So
No. You've articulated it very well. Yeah.
Just sorry. I just want to follow up on your point. He was born male.
yeah.
He was born male.
Yeah.
Now, biologically, we could go into the understanding of the need for a male and a female. We could biologically go into that. There is no need for him to be a man because man goes from male to boy to man. Male, boy to man. Correct? Yeah. So I think that's why maybe that's where we are at cross thing. Uba ndithi mna, I'm raising a person who can choose to be a man and I'll be happy with it. The attributes of a person is what's going to be key. Now Uluhle can choose to remain a boy at heart and in actions while grown, but behave like a boy. Because we say a male is got stages from inkwenkwe, umfana, indoda, ixhego. Now, as an Eastern Cape born person, I go to a Rockets and I see Ukwete Mantashe popping bottles with 28-year-olds. Ukwete is an example, guys.
Yeah, and of course.
Is an example. Bubukhwenkwe kum. Bubukhwenkwe obo kum. Bubukhwenkwe. Like I'm saying, bubukhwenkwe. A grown-ass man smoking humbly. Nabantwana. Bubukhwenkwe. So I think I was saying, I think maybe where our terminologies are differing, but you are talking about a man. That's why I said, what is a man? Because in the office, boardroom, you're having a strategy meeting. Man, male, what difference does it make at that point? Except for we know society allows for me to stand up and scream the same way Utali did the lady at the Zondo Commission. Because I don't think Utali would have screamed at a white male the same way he did at the female lady who was presenting Upraven just a few days ago. I don't believe Utali would have done that, but I'm saying the gender then, the gender comes into play because of those unfortunate, toxic, I want to give it the correct term because it's really toxic privileges that come with it. That I know that when I stand up next to a female and scream and say, shut up, I've got a louder voice, biologically. I've got a louder voice. So I'm saying, but male versus men, very important to distinguish between the two.
Okay.
Yeah.